The night was quiet on 7B. Jake Miller sat outside the medical station and looked up at the stars. He had been on this frontier world for 2 years now. The colony was small. Only 300 people lived here. Most of them were farmers and miners. Jake was the only trained medic. He was 28 years old. Before coming here, he had served in the war against the Dominion. He had seen many terrible things. He had saved many lives. He had also lost many friends. When the war ended in a stalemate, Jake wanted to get as far away from everything as possible. So he came to this forgotten little world at the edge of human space. The night air was cool. Jake took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He liked the silence. It helped him forget. Then he saw it. A bright light streaked across the sky. At first, Jake thought it was a meteor, but then the light changed direction. It was not a meteor, it was a ship, and it was falling. The object crashed into the forest about 2 kilometers from the colony. Jake heard the impact. He felt the ground shake beneath his feet. A column of smoke rose into the night sky. Jake stood up. His heart was beating fast. He knew he should report this to the colony leader. He knew he should wait for others, but something pulled him toward the crash site. He did not know why. He just felt that he had to go. He grabbed his medical bag and started walking into the forest. The trees on 7B were tall and thin. Their leaves glowed a soft blue color in the darkness. Jake moved quickly through them. He followed the smoke. He could smell burning metal and something else, something strange. After 20 minutes, he found the crash site. It was an escape pod. Jake had seen many of them during the war, but this one was different. The design was not human. The metal was darker. The shape was more curved. Jake knew immediately what it was. Yes. His whole body went tense. They were the enemy. For 5 years, humans had fought a brutal war. Millions had died on both sides. The war had ended 2 years ago, but there was no real peace. Just a ceasefire, just silence. Jake should have turned around. He should have reported this and let the colony militia handle it. But then he heard something. A sound, a weak, painful sound. Someone was alive inside. Jake moved closer to the pod. The hull was cracked and smoking. Flames were starting to spread. Whoever was inside did not have much time. He found the hatch. It was damaged but not sealed. Jake pulled hard and the metal bent. He pulled again and created an opening large enough to climb through. Inside he found her. She was tall, even lying down. Her skin was a beautiful shade of blue like the ocean on Earth. She had ridges along her forehead and cheekbones. Her hair was silver and long. She wore armor that was clearly expensive. Gold patterns decorated the chest plate. Jewels were set into the shoulders. She was unconscious. Blood covered her face. Her breathing was shallow. Jake did not think. He just acted. He was a medic. This was what he did. He carefully lifted her from the wreckage. She was lighter than he expected. He carried her out of the pod and laid her on the ground. Just as he did, the pod exploded behind them. Jake threw himself over her body to protect her from the blast. When the fire settled, Jake looked down at her. She was still alive, still breathing. He picked her up again and started walking back to the colony, but he did not go to the main settlement. He went to his medical station on the edge of town. It was isolated. No one would see them there. Jake knew what he was doing was dangerous. If anyone found out he was hiding he would be in serious trouble. The colony people feared they hated them. They would not understand. But Jake could not let her die. He was a medic. He had sworn an oath to save lives, all lives, even the lives of his enemies. He laid her on the medical bed and began to work. He cleaned her wounds. He stopped the bleeding on her head. He checked her vital signs. Her biology was different from humans, but not completely different. He could work with what he knew. After an hour, she was stable. Jake sat down in a chair next to the bed. He was exhausted. He watched her sleep. He wondered who she was. He wondered why she was here. He wondered what he had gotten himself into. She woke up 3 hours later. Her eyes opened suddenly. They were gold, like two small suns. She tried to sit up, but Jake gently pushed her back down. "Easy," he said. "You are hurt, you need to rest." She looked at him with fear and confusion. Her hand moved toward her belt, searching for a weapon, but there was nothing there. "I am not going to hurt you," Jake said slowly. "I am a medic, I helped you." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she spoke. Her voice was rough and tired. Her human words were broken but understandable. "You are human," she said. "Yes." "Why did you save me?" Jake thought about the question. It was a good question. He was not sure he had a good answer. "Because you needed help," he said finally. "That is what I do." She kept staring at him. Her gold eyes seemed to look right through him. Then she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "I am," she said, "Princess of the Dominion." Jake felt his stomach drop. A princess. He had saved a princess. "My ship was attacked," she continued, "by my own people. There are those in my court who want the war to continue. They tried to kill me. I escaped, but my pod was damaged. I did not choose to land here. I had no control." She opened her eyes and looked at Jake again. "You have saved my life, human, but now we are both in danger. They will come looking for me, and when they find me, they will destroy everything in their path." Jake sat back in his chair. He looked at the alien princess lying on his medical bed. He thought about the quiet life he had built here. He thought about the peace he had found. That peace was over now. "My name is Jake," he said quietly. "Jake Miller, and I guess we need to figure out what to do next." Nodded slowly. For the first time, something like hope appeared in her golden eyes. "Thank you, Jake Miller," she whispered. "Thank you for not letting me die." Outside, the twin moons of 7B rose into the sky. Somewhere in the darkness of space, hunters were already on their way. Jake did not sleep that night. He sat in his chair and watched over the princess. Every few hours, he checked her wounds. He gave her water when she woke. He made sure she was comfortable. By morning was stronger. She could sit up on her own. She could speak more clearly. Her gold eyes were sharp and alert. Jake brought her some food. It was simple human food, bread and dried fruit. He was not sure if she could eat it. "I can eat most things," she said, as if reading his thoughts. "Our bodies are similar in many ways." Jake sat down across from her. He had many questions. He decided to start with the most important one. "You said your own people tried to kill you. Why?" Took a small bite of bread. She chewed slowly before answering. "The war between our people ended 2 years ago," she said. "But it did not really end. It just stopped. There is no peace. There is only waiting. Many in my court want to continue fighting. They believe humans are weak. They believe we can win." "And you?" Looked at him. "I believe the war has already cost too many lives on both sides. I have been working for true peace, a real treaty, trade, communication, understanding." She paused. "There are powerful people who do not want this. They see peace as weakness. They see me as a traitor. So they tried to kill you." "Yes, during a diplomatic mission. My own guards turned on me. I killed 3 of them before I reached the escape pod." She looked down at her hands. "I have never killed my own people before." Jake understood that feeling. War made people do terrible things. Sometimes those things stayed with you forever. "I need to return to continued. "I need to expose the traitors. I need to take back my position, but first—" She stopped talking. Her face showed pain. "What is it?" Jake asked. Slowly stood up from the bed. She moved carefully, like every motion hurt. She turned her back to Jake. "My armor," she said. "It was damaged in the attack. A blade went through here." She pointed to a spot on her lower back. "The armor sealed itself to protect me, but something is wrong. The internal systems are broken. I can feel poison spreading through my body." Jake stood up and moved closer. He could see what she meant. The armor on her back was melted and twisted. Dark lines spread from the damaged area like veins. The armor needs to be removed, said, but I cannot do it alone. The clasps are designed to be opened by another person, someone trusted. She began to unfasten the front of her armor. The chest plate clicked and loosened. She held it in place with one hand and looked back at Jake over her shoulder. "Don't be ashamed," she said quietly. "Help me, human." Jake hesitated, not because he was embarrassed, but because he understood what she was asking. During the war, he had learned about culture. He had studied them. He believed that understanding your enemy was the first step to defeating them. But he had also learned something else, something that most humans did not know. In culture, armor was sacred. It was not just protection. It was identity. It was honor. A warrior never removed their armor in front of others. The only exception was family, or someone they trusted completely with their life. Was asking Jake to do something that no human had ever done. She was showing him a kind of trust that crossed the boundaries of species and war. "I know what this means," Jake said softly. "Are you sure?" His eyes widened slightly. She had not expected him to understand. "You know our ways," she said. "I studied your people during the war. I wanted to understand, not just fight." Something changed in his expression. The fear and caution faded a little. In its place, Jake saw something like respect. "Then you know I am placing my life in your hands," she said. "Yes, Jake Miller, I am sure." Jake nodded. He moved behind her and looked at the clasps. They were complicated, small, and precise. He worked slowly and carefully. One by one, the pieces of armor came away. Beneath the armor wore a thin underlayer. Her blue skin showed through in places. Jake could see the wound now. It was deep and infected. The armor's broken systems had been pumping toxins into her blood. "This is bad," Jake said, "but I can fix it. Hold still." He worked for over an hour. He cleaned the wound. He removed the pieces of metal that had broken off inside her skin. He flushed out the poison. He sealed the wound with medical gel. Through it all did not make a sound. She sat perfectly still. Only the tension in her shoulders showed how much pain she was in. When Jake finished, he stepped back. "Done. You will need to rest for a few days, but you will heal." Let out a long breath. She turned around to face him. Without her armor, she looked smaller, more vulnerable, more real. "You have gentle hands," she said, "for a warrior." "I am not a warrior anymore. I am just a medic." "No," said, "you are more than that. You saved your enemy. You showed me respect. You understood things that others would not." She paused. "I have never met a human like you." Jake did not know what to say, so he said nothing. Reached out and touched his arm. Her fingers were cool against his skin. "My people call you savages," she said. "Our leaders tell us that humans are violent and cruel, that you have no honor, that you cannot be trusted." She looked into his eyes. "They are wrong." Jake thought about all the terrible things humans had done during the war. He thought about all the terrible things they had done too. Both sides had blood on their hands. "We are not perfect," he said, "but we are not monsters either. Most of us just want to live in peace." "So do most of my people," replied. "It is the leaders who want war, not the common people." They stood there in silence for a moment. Two people from two different worlds. Two species who had been killing each other for years. But in that small medical station, something new was beginning. Something that felt like hope. "I will help you get home," Jake said finally. "I do not know how yet, but I will find a way." Smiled. It was the first time Jake had seen her smile. It was a beautiful smile. "I believe you," she said. "I do not know why, but I believe you." Outside, the sun rose over 7B. A new day was beginning. And somewhere far away in the cold darkness of space, ships were already hunting for the lost princess. 2 days passed. Grew stronger with each hour. She could walk now. She could move without pain. Her wound was healing well. Jake kept her hidden in his medical station. He told the colony leader that he was sick and needed to rest. No one questioned him. Jake was a quiet man who kept to himself. People left him alone. During those 2 days, Jake and talked. They talked about their homes, their families, their lives before the war. Jake learned that had a younger brother who died in battle. Human soldiers had killed him. She did not blame Jake for this. She blamed the war itself. Jake told her about his best friend from the military, a man named Danny Vance. They had served together for 3 years. Danny had saved Jake's life twice. After the war, Danny became a smuggler. He moved goods between systems, both legal and illegal. He was not a bad person. He was just a man who did not fit in the normal world anymore. "He might be able to help us," Jake said, "if I can contact him." On the third morning, everything changed. Jake was checking Swoon when his communication device beeped. It was an emergency broadcast, colony-wide. He turned on the screen. The colony leader's face appeared. She looked scared. "Attention all residents," she said. "A ship has entered orbit. They are sending a team to the surface. They say they are looking for a crashed escape pod. They say someone important was on board." She paused. "Everyone stay calm. Stay in your homes. Do not interfere with the search." Jake looked at her. Face was pale. "They found me," she whispered. Jake turned off the screen. His mind was racing. He had to think fast. "How long do we have?" he asked. "They will search the crash site first. When they find nothing, they will expand the search. Maybe 2 hours, maybe less." Jake grabbed his bag. He started putting things inside: medical supplies, food, water, a small weapon he kept hidden under his bed. "We need to move," he said. "I know a place in the mountains where we can hide. It will buy us time." Shook her head. "You do not understand. Hunter Scouts are the best trackers in the galaxy. They will find me. No matter where I hide, they will find me." "Then we do not hide, we run." Looked at him with confusion. "Run where?" "Off this planet, out of this system." Jake stopped packing and looked at her. "I told you about my friend Danny. He has a ship, a fast one. If I can reach him, he can get us out of here." "Why would he help us? His people hate my people." Jake smiled a little. "Danny does not care about politics. He cares about 2 things, money and loyalty. I saved his life during the war. He owes me. He will help." Was quiet for a moment, then she nodded. "I have no other choice," she said. "I will trust you, Jake Miller, again." Jake contacted Danny using an old military channel. It was encrypted and hard to trace. Danny answered after a few seconds. His face appeared on the screen. He had messy brown hair and a scar across his left cheek. He looked older than Jake remembered. "Jake, what the hell? I thought you were dead." "Not dead, just hiding. I need your help, Danny." "What kind of help?" Jake took a deep breath. "The kind that could get us both killed. I need you to come to 7B. I need you to pick up 2 passengers, and I need you to get us to neutral space." Danny's eyes narrowed. "Who is the other passenger?" Jake moved aside so Danny could see. Danny's face went white. "Is that a—" "Yes. A princess, if I am not wrong. I recognize the marks on her face." Danny laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Jake, what have you gotten yourself into?" "Something big. Will you help?" Danny was silent for a long moment. Jake could see him thinking. Danny was calculating the risks, the rewards, the chances of survival. "You saved my life at station," Danny said finally. "You carried me half a kilometer through enemy fire with 2 bullets in your leg. I said I would pay that debt one day." He grinned. "I guess today is that day." Jake felt relief flood through his body. "How fast can you get here?" 6 hours, maybe 5 if I push the engines." "Make it 4. We do not have much time." Danny nodded. 4 hours, have the lady ready to travel. And Jake, try not to die before I get there." The screen went dark. Jake turned to. "We need to get to the northern landing zone. It is far from the colony. Danny can pick us up there without being seen." They left the medical station through the back door. Jake knew the forest well. He had spent many nights walking through it when he could not sleep. He led through the trees, away from the colony, toward the mountains. They moved fast but carefully. Every few minutes they stopped to listen. In the distance they could hear voices, voices. The hunters were already spreading out. After an hour stopped walking. She leaned against a tree and closed her eyes. "I need a moment," she said. Jake nodded. He kept watch while she rested. His hand stayed close to his weapon. "If they catch us," said quietly, "they will kill me, and they will probably kill you too, for helping me." "I know." "You could still turn back. You could tell them you found me by accident, that you did not know who I was. They might believe you." Jake shook his head. "No, I started this. I will finish it." Opened her eyes and looked at him. "Why, you do not even know me. I am your enemy. My people killed your friends. Why are you risking everything for me?" Jake thought about the question. He had been asking himself the same thing. "Because this is not about you and me," he said finally. "This is about what kind of person I want to be. I spent 5 years fighting, 5 years hatting. I do not want to be that person anymore. I want to believe that people can change, that enemies can become friends, that peace is possible." He looked at her. "If I give you up, I give up on all of that." Stared at him for a long moment. Then she pushed herself away from the tree and stood tall. "You are a strange man, Jake Miller," she said. "But I think I understand now why your species has survived so long. It is not your weapons or your ships. It is your stubborn hope, your refusal to give up." Jake smiled a little. "We call it being human." They continued walking. Behind them, the hunters were getting closer. Ahead of them, somewhere in the sky, Danny Vance was flying to their rescue. The race had begun. They reached the northern landing zone just as the sun began to set. The zone was a flat clearing on the side of a mountain. It was far from the colony. No one ever came here. Jake checked his communication device. Danny was still an hour away. They had to wait. Sat down on a rock and looked up at the darkening sky. Her gold eyes reflected the fading light. "I have never seen a sunset like this," she said. "On my world, the sky turns purple when the sun goes down. Here it is orange and red, like fire." Jake sat next to her. "Every world has its own beauty." "Yes," agreed. "I think that is something worth protecting. All these different worlds, all these different skis. The war could destroy all of it." They sat in silence for a while. The forest around them grew dark. Insects began to sing their night songs. Then stood up suddenly. Her body was tense. "Someone is coming," she said. Jake pulled out his weapon. He listened. At first he heard nothing. Then he heard footsteps, many footsteps, coming from the forest below. 5 figures emerged from the trees. They were soldiers. Their dark armor gleamed in the last light of sunset. They carried long rifles and curved blades. One of them stepped forward. He was taller than the others. His armor was decorated with silver patterns, a commander. "Princess," the commander said. His voice was deep and cold. "We have been looking for you." Stepped forward. She stood straight and proud even without her armor. "Commander," she said, "I should have known they would send you." "You should not have run. You only made things harder," looked at Jake. "And you should not have involved this human. Now he must die with you." Jake kept his weapon raised. He knew he could not win this fight. 5 trained soldiers against 1 human medic. The odds were impossible. But he was not going to let them take, not without a fight. "You can try to kill us," Jake said, "but you will not walk away clean, I promise you that." Laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Brave words from a human. Your species is known for talking big before dying. Something clicked in Jake's mind. An idea. A crazy, desperate idea, but it was the only chance they had. "Commander," Jake said loudly, "I challenge you to EV." Everyone went silent. The soldiers looked at each other in confusion, turned to Jake with shock on her face. His expression changed. The mockery disappeared. Something else took its place, surprise, and maybe a little bit of respect. "You know of Eth," said slowly. "I know many things about your people. Eth is the duel of honor. If I challenge you, you must accept. It is your sacred law." Stepped closer to Jake. He studied him with new interest. "You are correct, but you understand what Eth means. We fight until one of us cannot fight anymore. No weapons, just hands. And if you lose, you and the princess both die. And if I win, then you have earned our respect. You and the princess may leave. No will stop you." Jake nodded. "I accept these terms." Grabbed his arm. "Jake, no, you cannot win this. Is one of the strongest warriors in the Dominion. He will kill you." "Maybe," Jake said quietly. "But I have to try. This is our only chance." He handed her his weapon and stepped forward into the clearing. Removed his blade and rifle and gave them to one of his soldiers. He cracked his neck and rolled his shoulders. "You are brave, human. I will give you that. But bravery does not win battles." "We will see." They faced each other in the dying light. The soldiers formed a circle around them, watched with fear in her eyes. Attacked first, he was fast, faster than any human could be. His fist flew toward Jake's face like a missile. Jake barely dodged. He felt the wind of the punch pass his cheek. He tried to counter but was already moving. A kick caught Jake in the ribs. He felt something crack. Pain exploded through his body. He fell back but did not go down. He had been hurt worse than this before. He could keep fighting. Came at him again. Jake could not match his speed or strength, so he did not try. Instead, he used what he had: endurance, cunning, the ability to take a hit and keep moving. He let hit him again and again, but each time he moved just enough to reduce the damage, and each time he studied patterns, his timing, his weaknesses. After 5 minutes, Jake was covered in blood. His left eye was swelling shut. 2 ribs were broken, maybe more, but he was still standing. Was breathing hard. He had expected this to be quick. He had not expected the human to last this long. "Why do you not fall?" demanded. "Any normal creature would be unconscious by now." Jake spit blood onto the ground. "Humans are not normal creatures." He saw his chance, was frustrated, angry. He was attacking wildly now without control. Jake waited for the right moment. It came. Threw a big punch. Jake ducked under it and drove his elbow into his knee. The commander stumbled. Jake did not stop. He grabbed his arm and twisted his body, using his own weight as a weapon. They both went down. Jake landed on top. He wrapped his arms around his neck, a chokehold. It was not pretty, it was not honorable, but it was effective. Struggled, he was much stronger than Jake. But Jake held on. He held on with everything he had. Seconds passed, his movement slowed, his body went limp. Jake released him and rolled away. Was not dead, just unconscious. The clearing was silent. The soldiers stared at Jake with something like wonder. A human had defeated their commander in Eth. It should have been impossible. Jake tried to stand, but his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the ground. His whole body screamed with pain. Ran to him. She knelt beside him and lifted his head onto her lap. "You fool," she whispered. "You beautiful, stupid fool." Jake tried to smile, but it hurt too much. "Did I win?" "Yes, you won." One of the soldiers stepped forward. He was young, maybe the youngest of the group. He looked at Jake with open respect. "The human has earned passage," the young soldier said. "Eth is sacred. We cannot stop them." The other soldiers nodded slowly. They picked up their unconscious commander and began to walk back into the forest. The young soldier paused and looked back at Jake. "You fight with honor, human," he said. "I will remember this." Then they were gone. Held Jake tightly. Tears fell from her golden eyes onto his face. "You almost died," she said. "For me, why?" Jake looked up at her. The stars were coming out now. They were beautiful. "Because some things are worth fighting for," he said softly. 30 minutes later, Danny's ship dropped out of the sky. The escape was complete. But Jake did not see it. He had already lost consciousness, dreaming of orange sunsets and golden eyes. Jake woke up in a bed that was not his own. The ceiling above him was made of metal. Strange lights blinked in the corner of his vision. He tried to move, but his body refused. "Do not try to get up." He turned his head, was sitting in a chair beside him. She looked tired but relieved. "Where are we?" Jake asked. His voice was rough and weak. "Danny's ship. We are in neutral space. We made it out." The memories came back slowly. The fight, the pain. He looked down at his body. His chest was wrapped in bandages. His arm was in a sling. Everything hurt. "How long was I unconscious?" 2 days, said. "Danny's ship has medical equipment, but it is basic. I did what I could with what we had." She smiled a little. "I am not as skilled as you, but you are alive. That is what matters." Jake closed his eyes. He was alive. That was more than he had expected. The door opened and Danny walked in. He looked at Jake and shook his head. "You look terrible." "I feel terrible." Danny pulled up another chair and sat down. "That was the craziest thing I have ever seen. You challenged a commander to single combat, and you won. I still do not believe it." "I did not win," Jake said. "I just did not lose." Danny laughed. It was a real laugh this time, full of warmth. "That is the most human thing I have ever heard." They talked for a while. Danny explained the situation. The Dominion forces had been chasing them, but they could not enter neutral space without starting an interstellar incident. For now, they were safe. But could not stay hidden forever. She needed to return home. She needed to expose the traitors who tried to kill her. She needed to take back her power and fight for peace. "I have allies," said. "People who believe in what I believe. If I can reach them, I can start to make things right. But I must go alone. I cannot bring you into my world. It would be too dangerous." Jake understood. He did not like it, but he understood. They spent 3 more days on Danny's ship. Jake healed slowly, stayed by his side most of the time. They talked. They shared stories. They laughed together. Jake could not remember the last time he had laughed so much. Something was growing between them. Something neither of them could name. It was too new, too fragile, but it was real. On the 4th day, they reached the border of space. A small ship was waiting there. It was sent by his allies to bring her home. They stood together in the cargo bay. Danny waited by the door, giving them privacy. "This is goodbye," said, "for now." Jake nodded. He had known this moment would come. He had prepared himself for it, but it still hurt. "Thank you," Jake Miller said. "You saved my life. Not just once, but many times. You showed me that humans are not what we were taught. You showed me that peace is possible." "You showed me the same thing," Jake replied, "about your people." Reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. It looked like a metal stylus with a glowing tip. "This is an honor mark," she said. "It is a symbol. Any who sees it will know that you are under my protection, that you are a friend of the crown." She took Jake's arm and pressed the device against his skin. There was a brief flash of heat, then nothing. When she removed the device, a mark was left behind. It was like a scar, but beautiful. A pattern of flowing lines that seemed to move in the light. "This mark means that no can harm you without bringing dishonor upon themselves," explained. "It is the highest honor I can give. Very few outsiders have ever received one." Jake looked at the mark on his arm. He did not know what to say, so he said the only thing he could. "Thank you." Smiled, then she did something unexpected. She leaned forward and kissed him. It was soft and brief. A promise, not a goodbye. "When the war ends," she whispered, "I will find you. I do not know how long it will take, months, years, maybe longer, but I will find you." Jake touched her face gently. "I will be waiting." She stepped back. Tears were in her golden eyes, but she did not let them fall. "Goodbye, Jake Miller." "Goodbye." She turned and walked toward the small ship. She did not look back. Jake watched until the ship disappeared into the stars. Danny put a hand on his shoulder. "You okay?" "No," Jake said honestly, "but I will be." Danny flew Jake back to 7B. The colony was quiet when they arrived. No one knew what had happened. No one knew what Jake had done, and Jake did not tell them. He went back to his medical station. He went back to his work. He treated injuries. He helped the sick. He continued to live his quiet life on the edge of human space. But every night he looked up at the stars, and he wondered. 6 months passed. Then one day, everything changed. Jake was working in his station when the colony leader called an emergency meeting. Everyone gathered in the main square. Jake stood at the back, curious but not worried. The colony leader's voice was shaking when she spoke. "A diplomatic ship has entered our system," she said. "This has never happened before. They are requesting permission to land." The crowd erupted in fear and confusion. Ships had only come to human colonies for one reason before: war. But something felt different this time. The ship landed outside the colony. A group of emerged. They were not soldiers, they were diplomats. They wore white and silver, the colors of peace. One of them stepped forward. She was old but carried herself with grace. She looked at the crowd and spoke in perfect human language. "We come in peace. We bring a message from Princess of the Dominion. She has taken back her rightful place. The traitors have been removed from power, and she wishes to begin formal peace talks with humanity." The crowd was silent. No one knew how to react. The diplomat continued. "The princess is inviting human leaders to our. She wants to build a new future, a future without war, a future of cooperation and understanding." She paused and looked directly at Jake. How she knew who he was, Jake did not know, but she smiled. "The princess has also made one specific request. She has asked that a human named Jake Miller be part of the diplomatic team. She says he is a friend of the crown. She says he is someone she trusts." Every eye in the colony turned to look at Jake. He felt their stares, their confusion, their amazement. But Jake did not care about any of that. He looked up at the sky. Somewhere beyond those stars was waiting for him. She had kept her promise. Now it was time for him to keep his. Jake stepped forward. His hand moved to the mark on his arm, the mark that connected him to a world beyond his own, the mark that represented hope. "When do we leave?" he asked. The diplomat smiled wider. "Whenever you are ready." Jake looked at the sky one more time. The sun was rising. A new day was beginning. A new era was starting. And Jake Miller, a simple medic from a forgotten colony, was going to be part of it. Because that was what humans did. They never gave up. They never stopped hopping. And sometimes, against all odds, they changed the universe. The war was over. Peace had begun. And in the infinite darkness of space, a new dawn was breaking.